Come on, guys, be nice. All right.
We are. We are promoting you through a children's book because your pies are going to save the day and get all the money needed for these uniforms for the kids. Can you imagine that? I can see it illustrated and all.
Okay. All right. It's time now for Common Sense Matters. We have Nancy and Betty in house.
We do. And Good morning, ladies.
I want to thank them for adding to my stress level this morning.
Yes.
You know.
We should have helped your stress level by buying a pie.
Well, no.
Will help the little Huntland Elementary School.
No, it's probably.
No, it's Huntland. I'm in Huntland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huntland.
I'm in Huntland. It's a new deal for me.
Huntland Elementary School basketball team needs uniforms and some other things.
And shoes. We have uniforms and shoes. We play Monday. We don't have no shoes or uniforms.
And Al is coaching them.
Yep.
There's your winner right there. Al's
Grab your Michael. And Betty. Yeah, we're on. We're live right now. We're talking.
And Betty and I have already bought these good-looking pecan pies.
Yeah,
which we are assured that Al did not make. So.
No, Al made them.
Al made them.
Al made them.
I thought you didn't make them.
No, okay. Al made them.
Well, we'll eat them anyway.
And you guys got Jeff's pies. Jeff Frame's pies.
Oh, okay.
Because they were going to him today. Now he doesn't get it.
Now he doesn't get it. Oh me.
He has to wait for the next round.
It's okay.
Bad move on their part there, Betty.
No. I'm gonna give him a whole wheat pie crust. I'm gonna experiment with him.
Oh, okay, good deal. Well, anyway, anybody out there so inclined, call Al up and buy a pie for the little hunting team.
Yay!
There's a bake sale Saturday. If you know,
okay, good, yeah.
Yeah, for other people. Down at B&B Corner Market, there's all kinds of pies, cakes, and goodies are going to be there at 8 o'clock.
Y'all be there. Buy a pie and help Al and those little kids. Al's coaching them, by the way.
Yeah.
Betty and I was scratching around here for my list of announcements, which I don't have time to get into my phone and pick out. But Betty, I think I'll go ahead. Do we know when Representative Clemmons is going to call in? At what time?
Well, I told him about 10 after 8. I forgot that we wouldn't have the pledge today because the school's out, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh.
So I told him about 10 after 8. So we've got time to make. We've got time to make announcements. We are having an election, but
yes, we are.
But the time for registering is past. Today's the 11th. And the deadline for registration was October 9th. October 30th, you can, up until October 30th, or through October 30th, you can request an absentee ballot. Early voting, October the 17th to November the 1st. Then Election Day is November the 6th. So please vote. This is such an important election. I know that you hear that every time. But this is a very, very important election. Teachers, please go vote. You've lost so much in the last 10 years or 8 years. Please go back. I was retired when so much stuff was taken away, and I well remember going. I had time, so I went to the General Assembly, and I well remember Representative Gresham telling some big thing that they were taking away from teachers, and every teacher in the room sucked air, and she said another outburst like that, and I'll clear the room, and all we did was go.
Your phone call here. Your phone call.
Oh, okay. Is this Representative Clemmons?
Yes.
Well, so you didn't have to fight the traffic this morning to be with us.
No, I just dropped my kids off at school and didn't do a meeting, so we're good.
But you won't get to go with me to breakfast either.
I know, I'm going to miss it.
Nancy is also with me this morning. But,
good. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, John Ray. So glad you're with us this morning. I was going to give a little short introduction and tell what a good, strong, popular, hard-fighting representative you are in our state legislature, but I'll say it anyway. Representative Clemmons was elected in 2014, I believe, ran actually in a Democratic primary against another, a long-time Democrat who'd been there for years. John Ray won that election, didn't have an opponent, didn't have a Republican opponent in the general election. He's been there ever since, unopposed, and you see him a lot fighting for people just like us in the state legislature, for public education, wages, income, livable income,
Medicaid
expansion, and that is a desperate situation and close to my heart. Okay, John Ray Clemmons. He's District 55, I believe, right, in Nashville.
That's right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that introduction.
And what we want you to do is get our Democratic people elected on this program.
No problem. Well, I tell you what, it's a good year to be a Democrat. We've got a lot of great candidates. I mean, I know we've got a great one down there, Sharon Adams, or running in District 39 that stretches all the way from Polecat Hollow over in Moore County all the way over into Marion County. Got a lot of great towns in that district.
It's 100 miles. It's 100 miles long, John Ray. 100 miles long.
That's right. Yeah, it's a long district, but the issues from end to end are the same. And education and health care and good, high-paying jobs are chief among them. And Sharon comes from a family of educators, and she's a teacher herself. Both her parents are teachers. Her brother's a principal over in Sequatchie County. And I tell you what, I'd love to have somebody with her experience and her perspective and her know-how serving next to me in the Tennessee House of Representatives. I tell you, it'd come in handy having that perspective of a working woman, especially an educator, sitting next to me in the Tennessee House of Representatives as we go through some of these wild debates with people trying to promote vouchers and things like that. Bill Lee supports vouchers, which is very concerning to me, and I know that Sharon and others would help me fight back against that next year or in the next couple of years on behalf of Moore, Franklin, and Marion counties, and that's the kind of person we need down there. And I know we got Mariah Phillips is running over in the 4th Congressional District against that fellow who's been there several years.
Teacher also.
Who's contributed to making the swamp stink, I guess it's fair to say. And if we want to change the way Washington works, we need to start changing the way the type of people we're sending to Washington. And Mariah Phillips, I tell you, there's not a better person and a hardest working person running in Congress in this state right now. That's Democrats and Republicans alike. This is somebody who raised a family while working 2 jobs, and then went back to school, graduated magna cum laude from her undergrad degree while working 2 jobs, and then went on and got her master's degree. And became a teacher and volunteers at various organizations.
And she's
that's the type of person
hot.
that we want representing us, somebody who actually understands us and our Tennessee values.
She's
and
such a hard campaigner.
We all know who we got at the top of the ticket. Phil Bredesen running for the U.S. Senate. There has been no more popular or effective governor in Tennessee in recent history. 8 years of experience as mayor of Nashville, 8 years of experience as governor, won all 95 counties the last time he was elected statewide, and he's got a proven track record of independent thinking, extensive knowledge, and problem solving. Now, he took on a state that was in budgetary disaster, quite honestly, after Sundquist left us with a mess. And Phil Bredesen's the one who's responsible for taking that mess, cleaning it up, and turning the state around and putting us on track for where we are today. And of course, he's running against somebody who I think is fair to say is the worst that the swamp has to offer. Between her and Desjardins, I don't know who's worse, but she's running for the Senate. Yes, ma'am.
We have a call-in question.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Good morning. I have a question for the representative.
Go ahead.
Medicaid expansion. Can you hear me okay?
Just go ahead and ask the question as loud as you can, and we'll do the best we can.
I just want to know when the congressman thinks it's going to have to happen to get Medicaid expansion in Tennessee. I mean, do another dozen hospitals need to close? Do we need to have more uninsured? All they want to talk about is creating something out of nothing, telemedicine. I mean, what's it going to take?
Well, I tell you what it's going to take. It's going to take electing new people who actually care about Tennesseans and Tennessee families and their health care, sending them to Nashville. Because right now we've got people in Nashville who don't want to serve people and don't want to take care of their neighbors or treat their neighbors like their brothers, like we're taught to in our churches. These folks up here, they just vote against Medicaid expansion, and they'll tell you straight up because of who passed the Affordable Care Act. Now, that's no excuse for not expanding Medicaid when rural hospitals are closing across the state. And as you pointed out, it's unfortunate that that's the case, but that's where we are right now, is people who won't even consider it. They won't look at the facts. They won't even read the proposals of the laws that we introduced to expand Medicaid, and they do it because of politics. They don't care about people. It's all about politics to them, and that's a shame. And people across the state of Tennessee right now are being deprived access to health care, basic health care services, and their hospitals are closing because we haven't expanded Medicaid. We turned down over $4 billion, billion with a B, away from this state, and we're sending it to California, we're sending it to New York, we're sending it to these other states across the country because we've already paid these tax dollars. We're not incurring more tax dollars. We've already paid them. And our tax dollars, our hard work, earned money is going to these other states across the country that have expanded Medicaid and have been responsible stewards of the taxpayers' dollars and want to help the people they represent. Unfortunately, the people running the state legislature right now don't want that. And the governor, fellow running for governor, Bill Lee, doesn't want that. And that's a real problem. And we should be really, really concerned about who we're electing and sending to Nashville if people aren't their priority and they're putting politics over people.
Well, I'm voting for Carl Dean and Sharon Adams. Thank you for your response.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Go ahead.
Well, I was talking about Governor Phil Bredesen running for the U.S. Senate. And let me know if we have any more calls. I'd love to answer some questions.
Okay.
We got Phil Bredesen, a proven leader in the state of Tennessee, who people know and they trust to do the right thing for Tennesseans and solve problems, is running against Marsha Blackburn, who, again, like Deja Olay, is pretty much the worst the swamp has to offer. I mean, she has proven nothing but that she will say whatever her party tells her to say, that she'll vote however her party tells her to vote, and it's the worst of Washington. And then during her tenure in D.C., that town, as we all know, and Congress, has become what it is today. It is a logjam mess where real policy, real discussion, real thoughtful things cannot come out of Congress these days because of people like Marsha Blackburn. And she is part of the problem. She's not a solution to the problem. And then, of course, my friend Carl Dean's running for governor of Tennessee. And let me tell you, I know Carl Dean personally, just like I know Governor Bredesen personally, but Carl is a good man. Carl is a guy who served as mayor of Nashville. He served as public defender of Davidson County and Metro and represented the least among us in their times of need and needing representation. He was a public defender. And then he was the Metro legal director for several years before he got elected mayor. And let me tell you, when we had the flood in 2010, one of the worst natural disasters that any city has seen in this state in recent memory, he unified this city. It didn't matter if you're a Democrat, didn't matter if you're a Republican, didn't matter if you're rich, didn't matter if you're poor. He unified everyone in this city and brought us together and led us through that natural disaster. And this city, as I think everybody knows, has come out better on the other side because of his leadership. Nashville is what it is today because of leaders like Governor Bredesen and Mayor Carl Dean. And they got us through the recession. Mayor Carl Dean led this city through the recession, and our local economy continued to grow, one of the only cities in America that continued to grow during the Great Recession, and Carl Dean was our mayor. And he can do the same for the state of Tennessee. And he's got a proven track record, he's got proven experience and proven know-how. And he's running against a fella who, like our current governor, inherited a family business. He's got no experience with government, no experience working across the aisle. He's proposed no ideas. He's been echoing party line nonsense about national issues and nothing about state issues. And I haven't, so, when you don't have any ideas, I don't know that you have the knowledge to run a state. So until he proves me otherwise or proves the people of Tennessee otherwise, I don't think we have but one option for a competent governor, and that's Carl Dean, my friend. And I think that everyone in the area who's listening to this radio show should sit down and think about what they have heard from these two candidates running for governor. That is an important position. I serve in the state legislature and see the impact that the governor has, whether there be the leadership of the governor or the lack thereof. Our state budget, our state policies, everything comes out of that governor's office. Do we want somebody in there who doesn't have a lick of sense or any experience whatsoever running government, or do we want somebody who's got a proven background, proven knowledge, and has been tested by one of the worst natural disasters in this state's history? Carl Dean is our man for governor. There is no doubt about it. And the working people of Franklin County, Marion County, Moore County, anybody who can hear this radio show should know that only one person is going to represent them and their real Tennessee values. Person who's going to stand up for education. He's not going to try to pass vouchers. He's going to work to expand Medicaid, not deprive people of access to health care. He's going to work to create and bring new jobs, and not only new jobs, but high-paying jobs. That's what we need. The rich in this state are getting richer. Us working folks, we're not making any more money. We have one of the lowest wages, average wages in the country, while we have the lowest unemployment rate. Well, unemployment rate's great, but if you're not getting paid and you're having to work two jobs, that's a problem. And that's just not right, and the working people of Tennessee deserve better.
Well,
what do you think, Betty?
Well, I can add certainly to Phil Bredesen. I tell the voters in Franklin County, Phil Bredesen knows where Franklin County is. He came down here numerous times during the 8 years that George Fraley served under him as the state representative. And I saw this when George was in the legislature. You could not tell the difference between Democrats and Republicans. They worked together and they accomplished so much. Everything that George Fraley brought to this county in those 8 years had to be approved by Phil Bredesen. Phil Bredesen has already earned the vote of the people of Franklin County because of everything that he allowed to be brought here during those 8 years. Phil Bredesen is certainly not partisan, and I keep hearing how partisan he is. He is not. He will certainly work with. He really did work across the aisles, and he accomplished so much, and so much for us right here in this county. And I ran into somebody the other day said they hated Phil Bredesen. How could anybody hate Phil Bredesen that lived in Franklin County?
It just doesn't make sense to me. Anybody who says that Phil Bredesen is partisan or he does everything based on politics, they're just not paying attention. They're just believing what they're told by somebody who is obviously an unreliable source. Phil Bredesen has done more for this state than anybody in office today or anybody running for office today.
Those people...
Franklin County elected Phil Bredesen twice.
Right.
And he knows where Franklin County is. He knows where every county in this state is because he's been to every county in this state, and he's worked with people in every county in this state, whether they're Democrat or Republican, rich, whether they're poor, regardless of what they are. Phil Bredesen has worked with them to improve the state of Tennessee because that's his priority. His priority is not running around talking about party. His priority, he's not running around talking about things. He's running around talking about issues that matter to people, expanding access to the internet, improving our transportation infrastructure system, trying to fix a broken healthcare system, and something we would all love to see is he wants to help fix Washington, because Washington is broken. And Marsha Blackburn's been up there for all these years, and the years that she's been there, it's when it's become broken worse than ever. And so, if you want to talk about Washington, let's put that around Marsha Blackburn's deck, and let's send somebody up there who knows how to get the job done and who's proven to the people of Franklin County and every other county in this state that they care about them and that they know how to get things done, and they'll work across the aisle to do those things. Because you can't be a leader if you'll only talk to half the folks up there.
Absolutely.
If you want to lead, you have to have people follow you, and that doesn't include just a select few. That includes everybody. And that's one of the things that I just, it's so frustrating about the Tennessee General Assembly these days, and why I'd love to have my friend Sharon Adams come up here and join me, is because I got people across the aisle who won't even speak to me. They won't even talk to me about education solutions. They won't even talk to me about how to fix health care.
I saw that.
They won't talk to me about
I saw that
issues.
happening.
And that's not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. No, it is not. They were told, I went to a TEA meeting, and the representative who spoke with us, when he spoke to us right when this thing was changing. When he said, a Republican from my district was elected, I took him out to dinner. I wanted us to work together for the good of Dixon County, Montgomery County. And he said he came to me the next day and said, I won't be allowed to go eat with you anymore. And he said, because my colleagues have said that I'm not supposed to associate with Democrats. And so I saw it happening. It was beginning to happen before George left in 2010. And that is just so sad. I'm telling you, when George was there, they gathered around his chair because George had studied the issues and had studied the bills that were coming up that day. And Democrats and Republicans alike would gather around his seat on the floor and say, Fraley, how do we need to vote on House Bill number so-and-so? They worked together. And that's the only way you accomplish things.
That's absolutely right. And it's frustrating. I've been told, there's no fraternization or anything like that among members anymore these days. Everybody just kind of goes their separate ways. If you try to have coffee with somebody and talk about an issue or work through a problem, they won't do it, and they'll tell you they can't do it because they're not allowed to do it.
That's
and
right.
That is one of the most infuriating things to experience as a legislator. Somebody who knows, come up there, you know how you get laws passed, you work together, you reach compromise, you do, I'm the first to admit every idea that I have is not a good access to high-speed internet. She wants to allow these big telecom corporations to throttle your service, to make you pay higher fees to get certain speeds and to get certain access to certain content. That's not how it should be. Doing things whatever you're told to do by lobbyists, that's not how you legislate. That's not how you represent. Betty, you know that better than anybody. George did what the people of that county and that district wanted him to do, and he came to Nashville and did it regardless of party. And
another thing that she takes credit for is keeping the state of Tennessee from having a state income tax. I was there and saw that. She didn't even vote on that issue.
Marsha Blackburn didn't do anything more than call and talk to talk radio during that whole debate. That's the only claim to fame Marsha Blackburn has, and it launched her into Congress because she snuck out of the room and called the talk radio guy, and that's her claim to fame. That's it. She got on the radio.
Well, and
Betty, you can get elected to Congress at this pace.
I was there. It was George Fraley, Mary Pruitt, Frank Buck, and John Tidwell. They're the ones who stopped the state income tax. I'm not sure if it was a thing to do, but anyway, his constituents would have burned our house down if he hadn't.
Hey, it's called representation.
That's right. That's right.
I might add, that was a Republican governor who proposed that income tax.
That's exactly right. But that state income tax was, and thought that they were going to get it passed and blame it on the Democrats. But
that's right.
I was there and saw that, and that's the worst. That's the worst kickback that we had. We had a 3-day weekend, and the phone started ringing as soon as the news hit. and it rang all weekend. And I said, George, is that job worth what we've been through this weekend? He said, I'm wondering. You know, it was really bad. It was really bad.
Yeah, well, we certainly have those moments, but that's, you don't do this job if you don't love it and you aren't committed to it and willing to take the good with the bad. That's what it's all about, and that's what the people expect, and that's the type of people we need to be sending to Nashville and Washington. And I tell you, I can't emphasize it enough. There are some great candidates in that area who the people have an opportunity to vote for. Sharon Adams in District 39 for the Tennessee House, Mariah Phillips for Congress in District 4, Carl Dean to be our next governor, and Phil Bredesen to be our next United States Senator. There's not four finer people that I would love to have the pleasure of serving with, who I know will keep the best interests of Tennessee families as their priority, not something else.
I think Nancy looks like she's bursting to say something.
No.
Let's let Nancy say a little something.
I'll pull out my one page here. When I was going through my stuff this morning, I ran across this page on education that, as a result of the Vanderbilt poll they do in May every year, and this has to do with teachers' pay. And the question on this particular question was, do you think public school teachers in Tennessee are currently being paid too much, not enough, or about the right amount? 89% of Democrats say they're not paid enough. 77% of independents say teachers are not being paid enough. The bottom, Republicans, 72%, think teachers are not being paid enough. Now that shows you who the voters out there, or the people that responded to this poll, think about teachers' pay. Democrats, 89%, think teachers are not being paid enough. And we need Sharon Adams and Mariah Phillips representing us, teachers up there. They need Sharon with John Ray working on education issues.
Those two women are really working hard on their campaigns. I mean, really working hard.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, look, I've got two kids in public school in Nashville. I've got a third on the way starting public school next year when he gets out of preschool. And I can tell you firsthand that we just right now spent the last 3 weeks trying to raise money for our public school among parents and local businesses to help provide our teachers with the resources that they need to succeed. Those are resources that they should be provided without having to worry about taking money out of their own pockets to buy supplies or having to work a second job. Like Sharon Adams, when she's a teacher, she had to work a second job. That's unacceptable. Now, how many people are going to continue to go in the teaching field knowing that they're going to have to work a second job? And I'll tell you, getting back to Carl Dean made a commitment to education when he got elected mayor of Nashville, and he swore he would do what it took to raise teacher salaries, and he took teacher salaries, starting salaries. I think when he took office, we were somewhere around 34th in the state for starting teacher salary, and when he left office, I think we'd moved all the way up to 3rd or 4th. And that is a type of commitment we need in our governor and our state legislature, to properly pay the people who are teaching our students, our children, our grandchildren. There is no more valuable resource or asset in this state than our children. And if we're not paying the people who are teaching them well, we're going to lose teachers, we're going to lose the quality of teachers we need, and we're going to give away the future of this great state.
Well, see, I taught at the right time. Teaching is much harder now than it was then, and you can't pay teachers enough. Listen, it is a hard, confining job. I always felt like the first day of school I was just caught up in a vacuum, and my whole life had to revolve around school. It is a really, it's a whole family thing. It takes a special husband to live with a school teacher, and it takes a special wife to live with a politician and a public servant. So we had it both ways.
Well, I tell you, my wife would agree with you on that one, and I just go ahead and publicly apologize to all the teachers who had to endure me for my public school career.
Well, I really did enjoy teaching. It was a really fulfilling profession, and I see so many students who have succeeded just so well and have done so many things beyond what I've ever done. And it's a fulfilling profession.
Yeah, and it's the most important profession. Let's face it. There is no more important profession, I don't think, than our school teachers. And we need to be paying them what they need, and we need to be providing them the resources they need to succeed, so that every child across the state has the opportunity to succeed. And we have to look at it from a holistic perspective. I mean, all this stuff is connected. We're talking about health care and hospitals shutting down. I've got Peabody College over here at Vanderbilt in my district putting out some of the best qualified young teachers in the state. Now, they're looking for places that they want to move, teach, raise a family. As they look around, do you think they want to move to a county where the hospital's closed, where there's no access to health care for when they start a family and their child gets sick or injured?
Absolutely.
And they have to drive 3 counties over just to get to a hospital or emergency room?
Nope.
That is a real problem. All this stuff is connected, and we should be focusing on it in that way. You need to take a comprehensive approach to all these issues. They don't just look at the starting pay salary in these counties. They look at the access to health care, if they're going to have access to internet, if they're going to have, if their husband or their wife, whichever one's not the teacher, is going to be able to get a good job to help support the family as well. These are all issues, and it's all connected. And we have to look at all this stuff comprehensively and address it on the whole. Sitting here picking little things here and there is not going to work. And the way we've been operating in Nashville under this Republican leadership and this supermajority isn't helping anybody. We're not getting people the resources they need. We're not doing what we can do for rural Tennessee to improve everyone's lives. Like I said, the rich in this state continue to get richer, and everybody else is just treading water, or their life's getting harder.
And struggling.
And that is unacceptable. I grew up in rural Tennessee. I grew up on a farm. I grew up with parents that had, worked full-time, and we worked on the farm when you got home or before work or before or after school.
Been there and done that.
I've seen it firsthand. But I had, there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of people across this state that have it worse than any of us, Betty.
Oh, yes.
Nancy. And as a kid, we thought it was hard, but we look around and we realize that others have it much harder than us. And that's the key difference between the way that some of us approach politics and some of us don't.
I didn't know I didn't know it was hard, John Ray. It was a way of life,
That's right.
I milked 10 cows every morning, called a bus at 15 till 7. Came home in the afternoon, milked 10 cows, and went and played high school basketball. And it was just a way of life. I didn't think it was hard. Now, when I went to college, I went straight through because I could play tennis and go swimming and have fun in the summertime instead of working on the farm. But I didn't know it was hard. I thought it was
right.
It was just a way. My daddy gave me the milk check, so it was like having a part-time job. And so...
Well, you got paid better than I did, Betty.
He did. I got the milk check.
Well, I tell you what, speaking of that, our dairy farmers in this state are having a hard time right now.
Yes, they are.
All the farmers in this state are having a hard time right now.
Soybeans.
The tariffs and hitting the soybeans, the corn, the dairy farmers. We got folks across the state who have fallen on hard times, and we got to do everything we can to help them.
If you don't farm, you don't eat.
That's right.
If there's no farms, there's no food.
I'd rather have my farm, my food come out of Tennessee than I would from across the ocean.
Of course, I've got 2 farms right now that are a burden to me. George left me with plenty to do, John Ray.
That was his everlasting gift, Betty.
Yeah, I know.
Well, you're in good shape, though. There's people out there who, again, they wish they had some land, and they wish they had that burden because they don't have anything, and they're hurting. And that's that's something that you and I and Nancy realize, and we realize we need to do what we can to help them. some people don't want to, that's not their focus. They just want to do whatever a lobbyist asks them to do.
Right. Well realized individuals, especially older people who are maybe just drawing Social Security, not enough income to qualify them for the premium tax credits to get Obamacare, but yet not on Medicaid either, which they would be if we had Medicaid expansion, and they're just up the creek without a paddle. No insurance. If they don't fall into a category of Medicaid that they qualify for now, they're just out there without health insurance, and they're a lot of times people who have worked for years, but older people and some younger people that the income is not just right, are just left without health insurance. That is such a dire need.
Well, that's a real issue. When you're talking about but somewhere between, I think the last numbers I saw were 280 to 300,000 people fall in that coverage gap, and that's those are Tennesseans who don't have access to care. And what's shocking is there's about 30,000 veterans in this state that fall in that coverage gap.
That's right.
Now let me ask you, if we're not going to provide access to care for our veterans who have served this country, then something's wrong.
That's unconscionable. That is just a shame.
It's something you just look at and it makes zero sense. I don't care how you feel about President Obama. I don't care how you feel about the Affordable Care Act. Right now, Medicaid expansion is on the table. It's our tax dollars. We've already paid them, and they're being sent to other states to provide their citizens with health care.
33 states are
getting our money that we already paid. We're not looking at paying more money.
No.
We're not looking at raising taxes. This is tax money that has been set aside for this purpose in Washington.
But you can't get reelected if you vote that way.
It is the most fiscally irresponsible.
It is.
There is no explanation or defense for not expanding Medicaid.
No.
And
zero.
Right. And we would hear from Betty, and I went to quote listening sessions a couple of years ago when the Medicaid expansion thing came up, and what you would hear in response to people are sick, they're suffering, they are dying, hospitals were closing. When I heard Marsha Blackburn last night, it reminded me, about the second question she answered, I thought, well, you're pretty good at taking pre-programmed and just spitting out talking points. She never really had an answer for anything. But medicine was for Hillary. I believe Hillary. She just
and how much money he
and
gave
you could
to
tell
Hillary's campaign.
She would just come back, and that's the way they do. They just come back with this pre-programmed information that's not helpful. That's just the same old spitting out something, and that's what. Where is the compassion? Where is there? Do they have any responsibility to people at all? It's their agenda. It's their talking points. It's their quote ideology that comes first.
And Donald Trump at one time contributed to Hillary Clinton's campaign. I wanted her to say that.
She didn't bring that up.
No, he did.
And she kept going on about Tennesseans want this and Tennesseans want that, and Tennesseans, all the stuff that Tennesseans really don't want. They want teachers paid more. They want living wages. And they want and need health care.
If you don't meet the needs of your constituents, why are you there except to get reelected? That just does not make sense to me.
Marsha Blackburn doesn't have anybody's best interest at heart other than Marsha Blackburn. She's going to go up there and do whatever Mitch McConnell tells her. He's just licking his chops waiting to get Marsha Blackburn up there because he'll know she'll say whatever they put on paper in front of her. And they'll put whatever they want on the paper in front of her. And all these other states that are going to be bossing Marsha around in the U.S. Senate, if she were to get elected, are the very same states that are benefiting from our tax dollars and providing their people access to health care, Kentucky included.
And themselves. She no doubt has health care. She and her family.
She's got health care. She got the best health care very little money can buy because she's on a premium congressional health care plan that she doesn't want anybody else to have access to.
I know that is just so absurd.
It's absurd. Everything she does is absurd. There is nothing that she has done or said that has shown her to be competent to serve in the U.S. Senate or serve the best interest of Tennessee families. If she just wants to go do whatever Donald Trump tells her to do or do whatever her party tells her to do, there are many other capacities in which she can do that. Serving in the Tennessee Senate, serving in the U.S. Senate, representing Tennessee families isn't one of them.
That's right.
She has an ad that says she has this wonderful health plan. Have you seen any wonderful health plan come from her? I haven't.
She doesn't have a health plan.
No. I hope people listening out there realize when you vote in November, you can just go in. You have so much power this time in that little finger that pushes that button. You can change this thing, and nobody will know how you voted. Nobody, if you haven't been independent and want to vote Democrat, nobody will know how you voted. And I encourage you. I know there are those of you that have your minds made up. You're going to vote one way, but those of you that have not been voting, please go vote and vote for yourself. Vote for your own interest and your family and your children and your grandchildren. For goodness sake, do that.
And this is a general election. You do not have to tell them if you're a Democrat or Republican. This is a general election. You vote the person you want to vote for. Of course, the Republicans will be listed first on the ballot because they're in power. The party that's in power always has their person listed first. But so don't vote for the very first person you see unless you're sure that's who you want to vote for, because that's the way that works. But you do not have to declare. You just go vote. Please go vote.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. You're failing your family, your community, and the entire state if you just sit this one out. We're at such a pivotal moment in not only our state's history but in our country's history. That really the future direction of this country and state really hinges on this election. And at the end of the day, if you take the time and you read up on every candidate and you look at their positions and you make a decision about which one is going to make the most positive impact on you and your family, whether they're Democrat or Republican, it's up to you to make that decision. The most important thing is to go vote. Now, I obviously have my preferences about who I think, and I know Betty and Nancy have their preferences about who they think would be the best, but don't let anybody tell you who will be the best. Take the ideas, take the opinions, and read the information about who is going to make the most positive impact on you and your family as they represent you in elected office. And you push that button as an informed citizen, but most importantly, push that button.
And I'm thinking last night in the debate, Governor Bredesen kept stressing nonpartisanship. Everybody, quote, complains about it's broken. Washington's broken. You send Marsha Blackburn up there, it's going to continue or get worse. She won't help it a bit. Phil Bredesen, and he's not shy about taking a position. He'll be in there, like John Ray Clemmons, he'll be in there fighting for us. Phil Bredesen will make a difference, and I especially think of him when you think about the partisanship and the Washington is broken situation.
Well, when he was governor, he made a lot of Democrats angry because he just did what was best for the state. Regardless of who was in favor of it, didn't make any difference. Phil Bredesen is that kind of leader.
Yes, he promised the prisoners to come in and fix Medicaid, TennCare, and he did.
Yeah,
it was a. He says himself it was a hard,
hurtful,
thing. Yeah, but
it hurt a lot of people, but it had to be done.
Right, and he did it.
Yeah.
Real leaders make the hard decisions regardless of party. They make the decisions that they feel are in the best interest in the long term. Not just what's going to be popular today or tomorrow, but what's in the best interest, whether it be the fiscal interest of the state, whether it be in the personal interest of the constituents. They've got to make a decision, and real leaders make those decisions, make the hard decisions based on the facts and information in front of them.
Right, real
and
leaders.
That's what Phil Bredesen did, and that's what he'll do as a U.S. Senator. If people think Phil Bredesen is going to go to Washington and get pushed around by anybody, whether it be a Democratic leader or a Republican leader, they're dead wrong. Phil Bredesen is going to go to Washington and serve this state with distinction for 6 years, doing what he thinks is right based on information. Because unlike Marsha Blackburn, he actually reads the information and formulates his own opinion. He doesn't do whatever they tell him to do. He doesn't say whatever they put on the paper in front of him. Phil Bredesen does what he thinks is right, and that's what he'll do in the United States Senate. And that's what we need to expect from our elected leaders at every level.
I want them to serve me. I don't want them to go there to be reelected. I'm tired of that kind of politician. I want them to serve me.
And you're so proud of a quote politician who has courage. You can be smart and in other respects, but you got to have the courage to do what you know is the right thing to do. And Phil Bredesen does, along with these other people that Carl Dave. Just think what he's done. Our teachers, Mariah Phillips and Sharon.
My daughter's job was threatened because George wouldn't vote for the state income tax. I mean, we really had it rough during that. We had people calling all over the state. A professor called me from Knoxville 3 times. They had Phil Fulmer call me. Of course, I couldn't tell George what to do. George's going to do. I said, and Daisy called me, and I said, if you make George change his mind, I'm going to come down there and take notes because I need to know how. So
well, I tell you, we've got a real choice this year, and I can't emphasize enough how important the governor's race is as well. You know, if you put Carl Dean and his record next to Bill Lee and his record, that's non-existent, I might add. There is no comparison between these two folks. If you take the D away from one and the R away from the other, and you just line these gentlemen up side by side with their background, their experience, and their knowledge, there is no comparison, and there is no question that Carl Dean is the right man to be our next governor. Bill Lee has absolutely no relevant experience. He's not qualified. He's got no ideas. He's put no ideas out there. In fact, they've made the decision not to put any real ideas out there until November unless they absolutely have to. I mean, we have somebody running for governor who refuses to tell people how he's going to lead, what he's going to focus on, and what he's going to do when he's elected. The only things that he's talked about are vouchers for our public schools and then some national issues that he has no control over.
I think Bill Lee's a really nice guy. And I think that he thinks that he can go to Nashville and do what he wants to do. He can't. He will be controlled by the Koch brothers just like the rest of them. But I think he's a really nice guy.
He'll not only be that, but I tell you what, he will get chewed up and spit out by his own party.
Yeah.
Right now there's about 6 factions within the Republican Party in the House alone, and I guarantee you every one of them knows state government better than Bill Lee will before the end of his first term.
That's
and
right.
That's if he tries to learn state government, because he's got no background or experience.
Yeah.
And they will run circles around him. And if you want a bunch of folks from Williamson County or other parts of the state running this state who do not care or even know where Franklin County is, then Bill Lee's your guy, because he's going to get chewed up and spit out by some of these folks running the state legislature. I can tell you right now.
I realize that, and I do think that he thinks that he can help us, but I know how it works. I've been there, not as a representative, but I've seen it for 14 years. I saw it. I know.
Yeah, I've watched Bill Haslam get run over on multiple occasions on issues that have detrimentally impacted this state. Bill Lee will be that times 100.
Yeah. But I still think he's a really nice guy. But
he very well may be. I've never met the man, and he may be a great guy, and and that's fantastic. But I want somebody who's a great guy, but I want somebody who knows what they're talking about,
I do too.
has some experience and proven knowledge, and somebody who actually believes in what they're saying.
I certainly do. I think Carl Dean is that man, but I did want to say that about Bill Lee because I do think he's a nice guy. Okay. Anything else, Nancy? We haven't said anything about our meeting or anything. We got a meeting on Saturday.
Saturday the 20th? Okay, I think Helen has it on Facebook.
At the Annex at 9 o'clock on a Saturday. I believe it's the 20th. Yeah.
I want to, this one thing came to mind. We've sort of said it, but I want to reiterate to these candidates that we're talking about, when if they can get elected, they will work for everybody. They won't go work for the interest of Betty Fraley and Nancy Silvertooth and John Ray Clemmons. They will do their jobs. Sharon Adams, Mariah Phillips, Governor Bredesen, Carl Dean. I admire Carl Dean so much. I love lawyers, John Ray. I've worked for lawyers for years. Of course,
I'll take it.
I especially.
Aren't you proud of that?
And as a public defender, I admire so much what public defenders do. Of course, I saw in the court system the people they represent, the down and outers, the nowhere to go. You have a lawyer, Mr. So-and-so? No. And, of course, they'd go through an income questionnaire. But public defenders, and a lot of times it's a thankless job, but they get in there and do their jobs. And Carl Dean was the elected public defender of Nashville.
I remember that.
And not only, of course, is he knows the criminal system inside out. He was their civil. John Ray. He was a lawyer for Metro, the civil side, sort of, right?
Yep. Yeah, he was Metro Law Director.
Yeah.
Under Bill Purcell.
He is going to know that job inside out when he hits the door, and he'll represent all of us. Lawyers do that, by the way, don't they, John Ray?
That's hard. We take we take it seriously, and I tell you what, you take public defenders out of our justice system, and you're going to have a big problem, and that is a very, very important role, and he did it with dignity, and he was well respected, and he got reelected doing it, and it says a lot about his character.
That's the hardest job that a lawyer can have.
It would be, I would say, yeah.
It certainly is a difficult job, and we just elected another good one up here in Nashville, and I thank goodness for every one of them who's willing to do it, just like, anybody who's willing to be a teacher or perform any of these vital roles in our communities. It's a great job, but I can't tell you how honored I am to join you ladies this morning and speak to the people of Franklin County and the surrounding area. It is it's a real honor.
Well,
sorry I couldn't be there with you in person again this year, but I am very, very proud to be on here with you and talk about some good people. And I tell you, when you elect Sharon Adams to come to Nashville, there's so few of us in the state legislature on both sides of the aisle who are actually willing to do the hard work. I can guarantee you I'm going to get her. I'm going to make her work.
Oh, well, she will.
I'll have to try hard.
Listen, she's a hard worker.
Good. I know she is, and I'll be. That's why it'd be such an honor to have her sit next to me in the Tennessee House of Representatives and have another hard worker up there who cares about people, not politics.
Well, she is really dedicated to getting elected, and she'll be dedicated to the job.
Well, I think y'all got a great opportunity down there in that District 39. With it being an open seat, you have an opportunity to fill that seat with somebody who's highly qualified, has a proven work ethic, has the knowledge and experience to do the job well and continue that type of leadership that George Fraley and others have shown in the past. It's a pivotal moment down there, and I hope the voters take advantage of it and send Sharon Adams up here to Nashville.
Well, I say that she's running for my husband's job, and I recommend her for that job.
That's great. No better person to fill it with than a hard-working woman.
And a school teacher.
And a school teacher.
Right. Yeah.
Have we got? You already about through? Anything else, John Ray, that you'd like to say? We're just about finished.
Well, no, I just thank you for the opportunity to speak with everyone. It's great to join you. I miss being down there in the station this year, and I'm certainly going to miss breakfast with you, Betty.
Yeah, that's a good breakfast, isn't it?
It was. It was a good breakfast.
Yeah.
So I met a lot of good folks down there.
Yeah, sure did. Well, thank you so much, John Ray. We really need you, and you always come through for us, and I'm so appreciative of that.
Yes, we are.
Well, I'm happy to do whatever I can for you and the folks of that area, because my job is to represent every Tennessean equally, and I'm proud to do it, and it's an honor for me to serve in a body where George Fraley and others have served in the past, and I thank you again. God bless y'all.
You're so kind to say that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, ladies. Good show.
It was.
And I was supposed to have you help call J.C. Cantrell out before you say goodbye.
Call J.C. Cantrell out. What for?
Well, Eddie bought a pie from me, and he gave me $20 for it. You bought a pie from me, and you gave me $20 for it. And so J.C.'s supposed to be buying a pie, and Eddie says that you need to help encourage him to outdo y'all.
Okay, come on, J.C., outdo us.
So he needs to do about 25.
Yeah, go 25. Yeah.
Is what he needs to do. So I was told that. Huh? No.
One pie.
For one pie.
One pie?
Yeah.
Yeah, one pie.
But what Al is trying to do is try to get out of baking any more pies. So he wants y'all to pay for two for one, so he won't have to bake any more.
And that's what he's
so you're saying that a lot of people need to say they need a pie, so that you make mini pies for $12 rather than a limited supply for $25.
I told him you shouldn't have advertised them if he didn't want to make them and sell them. He's been advertising them for a week.
There you go.
Whatever.
You're right.
Whatever. All right, guys. Anything else?